Hello, everyone. It is so good to be with you. And today you are in for a big treat. We have Ryan, who is the owner and broker of Spyglass Realty. He started his career in Austin real estate as an investor and then has now grown into a great real estate company, Spyglass Realty. And we are in for a big treat. We're going to be talking about so many things today. We're going to be talking about kind of what's getting in your own way, how to fall in love with the process, what processes you need to do to refocus your energy, exact things that you need to do to get leads right now, and so much more. So please welcome Ryan. Yay.
Hey, thank you for having me on, and exciting. The music got me pumped up and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about one of the things that we all know is that in this kind of market, we're going to be losing some real estate agents and they are going to be moving to a 9-to-5 job. And, I had someone who had mentioned it, they were like, well, I don't know, I wonder if I'm going to have to get a 9-to-5 job. And my answer was, if you don't focus on the results and you just focus on the process and pretend like this is a 9-to-5 job and you're actually working those times and you time blocked, hey, this hour I'm going to do this hour I'm going to do this, you're going to make a lot more money than you would at a 9-to-5 job and be a lot happier.
Sure.
So let's talk about that for a second. And if you had to kind of time block someone's schedule, what would you do as far as like, okay, I'd spend this many hours and, these hours doing this hours doing that. And what are you doing for lead generation?
Yeah. So I actually was in this situation in 2014, I believe it was. It was 2014 or 2015. I had this is before I had a big team and whatnot. And I was a top producing agent. And I kind of took my foot off the gas, and I had a great year that year in the sense that I didn't have to do a lot of lead generation. But when, November came of that year, things started drying up dramatically. And I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was taking the referrals, but I wasn't making the calls. And so I really had to dial for dollars I thought this was going to be the rest of my career, right? I don't have to lead gen. And I took that for granted. And basically what I would do at the time was I would say, I'm going to call up to 70 people a day. I started at 8 o'clock, right? And I started at 8 because at the time I was doing expired and withdrawals, and you wanted to be the first on the phone at 8, because if you're like 8:30, it was like your number 10 person to call. And my goal was going to make up to 70 calls that it's going to lead into at least 3 meaningful conversations that would lead to 3 appointments that week. So 3 meaningful conversations that day. And so that would, some days I'd get lucky and it would happen, by 10 o'clock, but most of the time I would just keep doing it until about noon. So I'd start first with the expired and withdrawals. And I do that till about 9. And then I'd move to past clients. And then I would go to, people that were in my referral network. So just going through there and marking those off. I literally had the little, like almost like your days in prison, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And that's how I would, calculate how many conversations I've had, how many people I've called. And then if I had a great conversation, I'd ping them. And especially if it were like an expired or withdrawn, send them a package, set up an appointment, and go on from there. But if I got to 70 and did not have 2 meaningful conversations, which was rare, then I would keep going, because at this time I had about 60 days where I was going to be completely broke.
I love that you said that, because, the people that seem like they're the most successful have all had some kind of experience like that, where it was like, if I don't do something in the next 60 days, because not everyone loves to jump on the phones, and for whatever reason, agents are just not wanting to pick up the phone and make calls anymore. So what would you say to an agent that was like, yeah, I'm not really big on making phone calls?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd say you're probably in the wrong industry. And what I think people don't realize is that's the work. The work is not the sexiest in the world. It's great when you can get into a car with someone and show them, beautiful houses, but that's not the work that gets you paid. The work that gets you paid is calling people over and over and over, not over and over and over again, calling over and over again. Okay. And making sure that you're talking to the right people. And then in between those calls, you're adding value. You're going to try and show them something that no one else is going to show them. You're going to try and send them information that no one else is going to send them. So, if you don't have people to send information to, then you need to make calls until you do. And, I think the biggest thing in this business is work ethic. I mean, I'm pretty good in person. I've got charisma. People like me, and I don't have I don't run out of things to say. But I can tell you, we've got 110 agents right now. And after you can have ones that have the most amount of charisma and then ones that don't have any charisma at all, the difference between who's going to be successful and who's not is going to be work ethic.
I love it. Well, Ryan, I can tell just in a couple minutes of meeting you, I feel like I just fell in love with you right away. Like, I was like, I really like this guy, but I could tell right away, like, you do have great work ethic. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And, we have a girl here at our company. And, one of the things I said to her today, actually, in fact, I said, the thing I love about you most is your grit. I said, out of anything else, I'm like, I do have some work for you to do. I'd love you to work on this, and this. But there's two things that she really does well. And one of them is her grit. And the second one is taking feedback and really being able to self-reflect, not getting defensive and going, okay, you know what? I do need to improve. We all do. Every one of us needs to. So, all right, keep going on this schedule. So 9 to 5 or whatever, 8 hours in a day. What are you doing?
Well, so, like I said, I reserve, ideally, you only have to do it for 2 hours, right? From 8 to 10. Okay. And then, they say the best time to prospect are 8 to 10 and 4 to 6. So, then now I'm coming from the mentality of basically crisis mode, where this is where I was in crisis. And so you have 8, start when expires, or John, then your 9 to 10 or your past clients, whatnot, from like 10 to 12. Hopefully you've got some appointments in the afternoon there, right? But if like from 10 to 12, this is your catch up. This is where you take your time and say, okay, what kind of content can I put out there? And look, I was doing this at the time where there wasn't, Instagram, it wasn't very readily available. So for me, content back in those days meant I'm going to do a newsletter, right? I would do a newsletter on what's going on in the market. Right now is a prime example of that. The interest rates hit over 7%. People want to know what's going on. Sit at your computer, write something down, okay, and send it out. And don't worry about everything. Now, I'm going back from what I did back in those days. Right now, the best thing to do would be turn on your camera and talk to it and say, here's what's going on. Here's what I'm seeing in the market. Interest rates are going above 7%. Talk about what's going on in your business. What's going on in here. Literally.
Well, let's do some role play. Let's just start doing some role play. So I'm going to have you and Heather, we'll put her on the spotlight, and we're going to have you role play with her. And I want you to first start as a buyer's lead that came in on the internet, that she was looking at a property. What would you do with that?
Okay. So Heather is looking at a property.
Yes. She's just an internet lead. She filled out some information, went to your website, and she's looking at 123 B Street.
Okay. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, is this Heather?
Oh, this is she.
Yeah. Hey, this is Ryan Rodenbeck with Spyglass Realty. I saw you were looking on our site today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. So are you looking for a home right now?
Oh, I didn't actually realize I even clicked on that. I was just browsing. I saw it pop up and I was just looking at the house.
Okay. When are you thinking about making a move?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, we don't really have any plans. Whenever I see something that I kind of like and looks, something that I'd be interested in, I look at it, but I don't technically have any plans to move.
Okay. Well, what would be your catalyst to move? Like, is it more for you want to get more room on your place? You want to have space for your kids? You want to own a home? What would it be?
Oh yeah, I mean, if I found something that maybe had a better floor plan, a little bigger, I would do that.
Okay. Do you lease a home right now?
Oh, we own.
You own. Okay. And would you
Mhm.
need to sell your home to buy it first?
Yeah, I wouldn't keep it as a rental. I would sell it to buy it if
Gotcha.
it was a primary residence. Yeah.
Okay. And so if you saw the home that if we were out looking at properties now and you saw a perfect home, would you be willing to take the plunge?
Yeah, I mean, if it was in my price range, I'm a little worried about interest rates. I've been watching that in the economy, but I mean, yeah, if it worked out, I would be willing to look at it at least.
Sure. Well, here's what I'd say about interest rates. Now is one of the better times I've seen as far as prices are concerned in a long time. Here in Austin, the market's been really crazy the past 3 years, and I'm seeing better deals than I have in a while. And if you're looking, what's going on in Austin market, we're about 3 headlines away from another gold rush. So I know you might want to wait, and that would be fine. What I would be worried about is when the interest rates go down a point or two and another Apple moves to Austin, you're going to be competing with all those people. So I would just kind of gauge that with what would you want to compete with other people at a higher price range, or would you want to buy now at a higher interest rate and possibly refinance later?
Well, yeah, I didn't think of it that way. But yeah, I guess if I found something that looked and it might be something that'd be a good fit, I'd be interested in at least seeing it.
Sure. So if we're out looking at properties, what typically works better for you during the week or the weekend?
A weekend would work better for me.
Okay. In the morning or in the afternoon?
Morning.
Okay. I saw you registered on 123 Main Street. Would you want to see that on Saturday morning?
Um, that one was okay. I didn't love it, but I think if you found something that had a bigger floor plan, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that one.
Okay. Well, why don't I get some properties ready for you? There's some that I know, and I also have access to off-market properties as well. So why don't we plan on trying to meet on Saturday, and I'll show you some properties that will work for you, and then if you can budget just a little bit more time, I can give you a couple more properties at a time.
Okay, that would be better.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great, Ryan. So, do you have any kind of one-liners that you say whenever they're kind of giving you an objection? One of the things that I use is I say, like, if I was talking to an agent and they're like, I'm really happy where I am, I always say something like, are you open-minded about your business? That's
sure, like Phil Jones.
What would be a good line, a couple of one-liners that you say that would be good for buyers and sellers? And then we can talk about recruiting as well.
Sure. So just so you know, that's the first time I've done a role play in a long time. I actually have an amazing sales director that I literally we're putting up a podcast I did with him today about objection handlers. So
well, maybe we need to have him come on the show. That'd be
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
You still did a great job.
I appreciate that. But what he says is, I was kind of waiting for her to say, I'm kind of waiting for the market to slow down. I'm so sorry, I got to turn this off. But I'm waiting for the market to slow down. And he'll say, well, what exactly are you waiting for? And then just basically going into the questions, right? And making sure that they know, this is something that we talk about all the time. Look, you cannot base your questions or your objection handlers on things that are not true. Okay. So we believe that in Austin, Texas, that we are 2 or 3 headlines away from another gold rush. So if you honestly believe that, then ask the questions to lead the consumer to make the right decision. If they don't believe that and they think the market's going to go to hell in a handbasket, well, then you're in a losing battle there. You're not going to try and make people do things that they aren't supposed to do, but you need to ask them qualifying questions like, where do you think the market's going to go? What do you think is going to happen next year when interest rates go down 2%? Let them answer the questions and then guide them through it that way.
Okay, great. Let's talk about some of the other things that you kind of have. I love that you said from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. you do prospecting, and from 4 to 6 p.m. you do prospecting. I think a lot of people would say, is 8 a.m. too early to be prospecting? Are they like, gosh, why are you calling me this early? Or are most people kind of up and at it by that time?
I mean, all the studies I've read show that they are. And then, not just the study that I've read, the research, the research I've done by actually calling from 8 to 10 and 4 to 6. These are times when people are more available. Okay. 8 to 9 is actually a better time than 9 to 10, usually, because they're on their way to work. They're probably in their car. Same thing from 5 to 6. We didn't invent all this stuff up. I mean, everything we've done, everything that you've done has been taken off of research and what other people's done before us. So I wouldn't reinvent the wheel. Just look at what works right now. And I do know that those times work.
And now a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Kanzel Realty.
One of the other things we give you is revenue share, where you get 5 levels of money in your downline every time you attract an agent to the company. And guess what? The first 3 levels open up right away. So let's pretend like you're not a great recruiter, but you bring on a couple people who are heavy hitters. Guess what? You don't have to hire 5 or 10 agents to open up those tiers. You automatically get those. So that's what makes us very different.
This is Kanzel.
And so let's talk about someone who they're like, as far as right now, their well is dry. Let's say they're maybe an agent. They've been an agent for a while. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, they're completely dried up. So would you say those 4 hours would be lined up for prospecting? And then what else would they be doing in their 8 hours to kind of get business lined up for them? Any social media, open houses, what else is in their bag of tricks?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. One, if you're not at a brokerage or a team that provides leads, then you might need to be at that. Now, this is talking about for brand new agents or an agent just moved to a different place. Okay. But if you're an agent that like I was, that, your well is dried and you're just trying to drum up business and you've got those resources, then, you call them up, you do an open house on Saturdays and Sundays. You have your lead conversion tool, sign in when they come in. Right. The other thing is doing reels, go through a house and do walkthroughs, go on a property tour and do reels. There's so much through like brute force trauma of work ethic, you can get anything done. And, if you want something bad enough, then it will happen. And one thing that I know is that I'm 47 years old and I really didn't get a work ethic till I was 26, 27. Work ethic is not something that you're born with. It's something you learn, and you just have to make the decision to do that. Okay. But you could do one single thing, and that will get you business as long as you do that one single thing enough. Now, obviously, I believe that one single thing is to make calls. But if you run out of people to call, then you network, you can door knock. There's so much thing. I'm talking, if you look at what would happen if you look at the worst thing that would happen in your life, if you were homeless and you didn't have any income, if your kids were going to eat, like you're going to figure that out. Put that mentality on for just a second. Don't go deep into it with an astounding amount of fear, but have your mindset of like, I am going to work my way out of this. And then it really doesn't matter what the activities are. Okay. Now, for the purpose of this conversation, it does matter because you want people to know what they can do. Right. So, get on a podcast or get on a market report and then do a video of what you learned in that market report. Like, for instance, we do our huddle every Tuesday at 10:30. And I would tell my agents if they needed to do some content, say, hey, we just had our weekly huddle and here's what we're seeing. Our crew, we had 40 agents on the huddle, and we had 19 contracts that we put on the market. We're seeing interest rates over 7. People are getting better deals, more negotiations are happening. We're seeing homes not fly off the market, but we're also seeing a little fear in the market. So anyway, you just kind of regurgitate what you learned in that huddle or that meeting or that podcast and put that as a reel on Facebook, put that on a reel on Instagram, put that as a story, send it as a newsletter.
So you're basically suggesting around 70 phone calls a day. Is that kind of the number that they should be making?
If they have nothing to do and they're not showing property, absolutely. Now, if that's an extreme thing, I think, but that's where we started a conversation. Someone that's ready to thinking about getting out of real estate. Well, if you got the work ethic and you want to make money and you want to dig yourself out of the hole, then you just keep going until you're out.
Well, and the other thing is we have, something we call the pool, like it's like a lead pool. And we have all these leads in certain areas. And the statistics, they're different ones, but they say that for a buyer or a seller, those are not converting until you touch them around 7 to 10 times. And I've seen some at 7, some to 10. And then the latest stats for a real estate agent, if you're looking to recruit an agent, they're saying that they need 14 touches before they're going to move. So that means a text, a phone call, an email, a Facebook look, all of this 14 touches. What are the numbers that you're kind of seeing on your end for the buyer and the seller and also for agents?
For buyers and sellers, it can really depend. We just had a conversation about this, is that in our huddle, is that, statistically speaking, a buyer will drop their realtor within the first 7 to 10 days if they don't feel like they're being hugged enough, right? So I don't really know what the touches are. It depends on where that lead came in. Right? If it came in from, a Facebook lead generation, or if it came in for Google PPC, or if it came in from like Realtor.com or Zillow or one of those are further along in the process. The PPC is not as far along, and the Facebook one may not even be looking for a house. So it just depends on that. For real estate agents, what's interesting is, that's what I do all day, every day now, is I put out content for real estate agents, and I call, I actually call up to 7 a day, every day from Monday to Friday. And if I miss one day, then I'll do 14 the next day. But for real estate agents, you just got to hit them at the right moment. And for recruiting, for me, is not trying to get them to come over here and hard sell them. It's coaching.
So let's do a role play with Heather real quick. And if you were going to call her and kind of coach her over to your company, go ahead, Heather, and you'll call her real quick.
Okay. Ring it up.
Hello.
Hey, Heather, this is Ryan Rodenbeck with Spyglass Realty. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Well, I saw your numbers recently. It looks like you had a good couple of years, and just wanted to introduce myself and let you know if something were to happen to your business, we would like to be thought of as a destination for you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty happy where I am now. I'm doing really well, and my business has been really well. Okay.
What do you like about them?
Well, I love that. I love my broker. They're amazing. And I love, I have a really great commission split, and, I have my names all over my signs, and, everything's really smooth and established and working really well.
That's great. I'm very familiar with your brokerage, and I have a lot of high regard for them, and I think they're great. So again, I'm just introducing myself in case something were to happen down the road. Let me ask you, if you were to focus on one activity or one thing to help your business in the next 12 months, what would that be?
Right now, I've had really great, obviously, years. I'm just kind of working on building my pipeline from the business that I've had. So just working on over the next 12 months, I'm going to try to double what I've been doing. So just kind of, figuring out ways to get referrals from who I've already closed with.
Got it. So you're mining your database and trying to double down on that. Are you doing a monthly newsletter?
No, I'm so busy. I don't have time. I haven't even thought of that.
Okay, well, you can get people to do it. We do it for our brokerage, and it goes out on behalf of our agents. What about any YouTube videos or marketing videos?
Oh gosh, no, I hate being on video. I don't do any of that.
Well, that's completely fine. You can also outsource that. But what I would recommend is that you either make some kind of newsletter or have a company do it for us. And just so you know, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time writing. You can just do an image from your board. We basically steal the ones from our board and rebrand them. So I'm just going to kind of basically what happens when she is very, adamant about loving her broker and all that. I am going to move to the second best thing, which is plant the seed, add value. And what I would do, I would turn that into a coaching call. And then when I get off the phone, I would probably put bullet points of how I want her to know and what I want her to gain from the call.
Yeah, that's really good. So let's talk about a few more. I'd love for you to share your screen right now. I know that you do a few things with Instagram Reels, and sure. I want you to talk about Facebook retargeting and just how much cheaper those ads are that you can do.
Sure. Well, I'm on here with the emails real quick. So I just want to show you this. That. Yeah. So this is a series that we did, and this is like for recruitment purposes. We started with set buyer expectations. This was an email.
And if you are listening to this as a podcast, this would be a good episode for you to watch, and you can go to our YouTube channel and find this so that you can watch it as well.
So, basically, all right. So here's all the information right here. So I'm sending this out to my YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel called Realty Hack. And I'll show you this video real quick. So I'm just going to show you one part of it. Seller expectations. Basically, what we did was we had a meeting where we had setting buyer expectations, setting seller expectations, how to list properties in 2022. And we recorded the whole thing. And then we put that out into segments of 3 different emails, which are, basically the titles of that. And I'll show you, let's see. So, and when I'm looking at agents to call, my open rate is, what is it? 57, 52, 54%. That's pretty good for an open rate. Anywhere from 2 to 4% of clicks is actually not too bad. But this is my call list right here. I'm going to call the people that are going to click on that. And I'm going to pretend I didn't call. But the way to repurpose that content was we had a meeting for our agents and we taught that. And so we cut that into 3 different videos for it, actually 4. There's one that's not showing in here, but this is over 30 days ago. So we took that one piece of information and repurposed it for YouTube, our blog, our newsletter. And, that's how we do. And we do the same thing for, stuff for Spyglass Realty, right? We'll do a video of a downtown walkthrough, and then we put that on YouTube. We have that put onto a blog, and then we send that out in the newsletter to consumers. So you asked about Reels. So, okay, let me just see what I've got here. So I just tested this. I really don't know what we had, what the results are. I mean, I literally just went up today.
Go ahead and play the actual reel, can you?
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. I think so. Actually, I got it.
Yeah, we can
Here we go.
play a couple of the ones that you thought were really good ones.
So, hold on. So this is a loss. So if an agent is getting a lead from 6 or 7 different sources, they don't have to go to each individual CRM to keep track of those leads. Okay. The other thing is BombBomb is integrated within Follow Up Boss. The reason I like Follow Up Boss the most is because that's all they. So basically, this is a video of top 5 tech tools that for real estate agents, and okay. I just cut that. We're also putting.
Do like a buyer and a seller one. Do one for buyers and one for sellers.
No, I don't have one of those. My agents do. So I'll give you an example of what we did. Okay. So we put Lauren through a Reels training, and it's hit and miss. So the training's actually great, but like she only has 466 followers, but using kind of the formula that it was kind of lined up for her. I'll show you the best one she had was this one right here.
Hi, this is Lauren with Spyglass Realty here in Central East Austin. Let's check out this house.
So just really, people love to look at properties. Mm-hmm. So showing them these different properties is good.
Yeah, and she had over 10,000 views on it. She had people click to inquire about different properties. She's actually getting leads out of this. I would be really careful with that, though. It's like, Instagram can be a really tricky thing. It can be a distract. Social media in general can be a distractor. Don't let that. And what I mean by that, I think everyone should be doing it. I'm going to stop my share if you don't mind, but I think everyone should be doing it, but it cannot be done in place of the real work. Okay. The real work is in making the calls. And you can see this is where real estate agents get trapped in this mentality of like, you know what? I want to be like an Instagram star. I want to do like the fun stuff. Okay. You can do fun stuff like that if you have business, right? Like, Lauren is a brand new agent. She did 6 million last year, which is, 6 million this year. So far, it's her second year in real estate. And, now she has time to do that because she's in between showing properties and showing, people that she's worked on and dialed for dollars for. I think that the mentality of agents is realizing that the main thing that they need to do, that they're distracted from the main thing that they need to do, which is lead gen. This is lead gen, but it's not the most effective lead gen there is. If she had 10,000 followers, then maybe it would be. But I mean, we have an agent with 11, 12,000 followers, and she still, calls her leads all the time.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that today that people are really hearing what you said from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. You've got to get yourself to where you're in that habit of prospecting during that time, calling old leads. Those people, there's so many people who are like, you know what? I probably need to go ahead and buy. And number 2 is with agent prospecting, you're looking at 14 touches before you're possibly going to get someone. And it's just a matter of making the call. And if you go, I can't stand making calls, like you said, this may not be the field for you.
Yeah, let me tell you a story.
You have to, even if you buy the leads, you still have to call them to convert them, and only contacting them 1.5 times is not cutting the mustard.
Yeah, let me tell you a story that kind of emphasizes what it is. And now, like, I learned by failure, and I think that I can teach by failure as well. Is that, you know who John Sheplack is?
Yes.
Okay, so I've worked with him for years, but the first time I worked with him, he's a recruitment coach. For those who don't know, he teaches recruitment. He's amazing, but he's very expensive. So I did 12 weeks with him, and then, got my brokerage up to like 35 agents. And then after 12 weeks, about a year later, I'd only had like 5 or 10 more agents, and maybe even less than that. And he gets on the phone with me. He goes, "Ryan, how many calls are you making a day?" And I'm like, not enough. Kind of stumble in my words. He's like, "You have the opposite problem than most people, because you put out more content than anybody I know. But that content's not going to get you anywhere unless you're making the phone calls." And so it's the same thing that I teach my agents. Like, and I know because I failed, right? I've done it. I was making calls, but like 2 or 3 a week. Now, even as it, now it's gotten easier as we've got 110 agents. We've got producing agents. Agents are sharing stuff on Facebook and Instagram. They know who we are. We've got a really cool vibe going on here, but I still have to make the calls because people are going to leave you. Okay. And if someone's not in charge of your recruitment and your brokerage, it's you.
Love it. Well, this has been awesome. We will go ahead and put all of your contact information, but tell listeners where they can follow you and find you.
Sure. On Instagram, it's at Ryan Rodenbeck. That's RyanRodenbeck. And then, doing a lot of stuff on YouTube, youtube.com/realtyhack.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a rating and a review so we can get this out to more agents. And tune in next week for another power-packed episode. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Podcast.